The distress beacon had been broadcasting for 47 standard cycles when Captain Zektar first detected it on the edge of the void sector. His four-armed Calaxian frame tensed as he studied the readings on his ship's deteriorating display screens. The signal was weak, fragmented, but unmistakably a plea for help. "Commander," chirped Yilix, his insectoid navigator, mandibles clicking nervously. "That sector is marked as forbidden by the Galactic Council. No intelligent life exists." "There!" Zektar's secondary arms drummed against his command chair. The stellar drift was already 3 weeks behind schedule on their supply run to the outer colonies, and their cargo of medical supplies was desperately needed. But the universal salvage code was clear. No distress call could be ignored. "Set. Course for the beacon," he commanded. "Real knock. Prepare the rescue pods." His engineer, a crystalline Japhirian whose body chimed softly with each movement, resonated disapproval. "Captain, our ship is barely holding together. The hyperdrive. Coolant is leaking. Life support is operating at 60% capacity, and we have provisions for only 12 more cycles." Zektar knew Real Knock was right. The stellar drift was an aging freight hauler, long past its prime. But 47 cycles was a long time to be stranded in space. Whatever was out there might already be dead, but he had to try. The journey to the beacon's location took 18 hours. What they found defied explanation. A primitive-looking vessel, angular and crude compared to the flowing designs of civilized species. It tumbled slowly through space, dark and apparently powerless. "Scans indicate one life form aboard," Yilix reported, compound eyes widening. "But, Captain, the readings are strange. The biological signature doesn't match any known species in our databases." "Unknown species?" Zektar mused. "In the void sector?" They docked with the alien craft, and Zektar led the boarding party through the airlock. The interior was cramped, filled with what appeared to be emergency patches and jury-rigged repairs. Everything seemed held together by determination and some kind of metallic tape. They found the alien in what must have been the ship's control room, slumped over a makeshift console. It was bipedal, roughly Zektar's height but with only 2 arms. Its skin was a pale pink color and thin hair covered the top of its head. When it looked up at them with 2 forward-facing eyes, Zektar was struck by how young it appeared. "Oh, thank God," the creature said, its translator struggling with the unfamiliar language. "I thought I was going to die out here." The alien introduced itself as Marcus Chen, a human from a planet called Earth. As they brought him aboard the stellar drift, he explained how his exploration vessel had suffered a catastrophic engine failure while investigating an anomalous energy reading. "Been drifting for almost 2 months, Marcus said, gratefully accepting a nutrition pack. "Managed to stretch my supplies, but I was down to recycled water and emergency rations." Zektar studied the human with curiosity. 2 months alone in space would have driven most species to madness, yet this Marcus seemed remarkably composed. "How did you survive so long with such primitive technology?" Marcus shrugged, a gesture that Zektar found oddly endearing. "You make do with what you have. I rerouted power from non-essential systems, created a water reclamation system from spare parts, and modified the life support to run on minimal power. But your ship appeared completely dead from our scans," Rilnock chimed in confusion. "I shut down everything except basic life support and the distress beacon," Marcus explained. "Had to conserve every bit of power." As they spoke, alarms began, blaring throughout the stellar drift. Rilnock's crystalline form flashed urgent red patterns. "Captain! The hyperdrive coolant leak has accelerated. We're losing containment." Zektar felt his stomachs sink. Without hyperdrive capability, they were as stranded as Marcus had been. Worse, they were now 5 beings with limited supplies instead of 1. "May I take a look?" Marcus asked, already moving toward the engine room. Yilix's antennae twitched, skeptically. "With respect, human, this is advanced Japhirian technology. It requires— I'm an engineer, Marcus interrupted gently. Different species, same physics. What happened next would be talked about in spacers' bars across the galaxy for decades to come. The humans spent 4 hours crawling through the stellar drift's maintenance shafts, studying systems that had taken the greatest Zephyrian mind cycles to design. He asked questions that seemed almost childlike in their simplicity, yet cut to the heart of complex problems. Why not bypass the primary coolant loop and create a temporary circulation system using the environmental processors? Marcus suggested, emerging from a service panel with his strange pink skin darkened by lubricant stains. Rilnock's harmonic frequencies pitched higher with excitement. That could work. But the precision required to integrate those systems— I've got steady hands, Marcus said, with what Zektar was learning to recognize as a human smile. Working together, the human and the Zephyrian performed what could only be described as a miracle of engineering. Using spare parts, salvaged components, and what Marcus called good old-fashioned ingenuity, they created a bypass system that not only stopped the leak, but actually improved the engine's efficiency. How did you know that would work? Rilnock asked in wonder as the hyperdrive hummed to life with a healthier resonance than it had produced in years. Marcus wiped his hands on a piece of cloth. Where I come from, we have a saying: necessity is the mother of invention. When you don't have the right tools, you make do with what you have. When you can't afford to replace something, you find a way to fix it. Captain Zektar stared at this remarkable being. In a few hours, this human had not only solved their critical system's failure, but had taught them new approaches to problems they'd accepted as unsolvable. Marcus Chen of Earth, he said formally. I hereby extend an invitation for you to join our crew if you wish. The human's smile grew wider. I'd like that, Captain. I'd like that very much. As the stellar drift jumped to hyperspace carrying its unexpected new crew member toward the outer colonies, Zektar reflected on what he'd learned. Humans might not have the most advanced technology or the longest lifespans, but they possessed something equally valuable: an unshakable determination to survive and an ability to find solutions where others saw only problems. In the galactic community, it would soon become known that if you wanted something impossible done, you found a human to do it. The universe had just become a much more interesting place.